Hello and welcome. If I'm the one hosting this show, this is Horseplayers Happy Hour. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fortitow, coming to you from the back of the car. As we are leaving Royal Ascot, and now I see the credits playing. I have no idea if my voice is coming through or not, but I'm here with a man coming to us from Saratoga Springs, Jonathan Kinchin. JK, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pete. I'm trying to catch up to you.
All right, still nothing for me?
I can hear you.
JK, I think we got to let you... I'll be home in about 10 minutes. So if you want to just vamp a little bit and or like look forward to some of these contest races at Gulfstream at Belmont, give a leaderboard update, that kind of thing, I'll be home and on very stable internet. And what do you think, Cornelio? About 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Yeah, about 10 minutes. I'm going to be in a much better position, unless it's come better and you can hear me now, JK, and then we'll do it together.
You do sound better, but we can do it that way if you need to. I think you were just going through a tunnel, Pete. It looked like you were going through a tunnel. I don't know what they call tunnels in the UK, but it looked like you were driving through one.
They're just tunnels. Let's keep it live for as long as we can. But if I cut out again, just cut me and we'll dance from there. Leaving Royal Ascot, Gold Cup day, very successful day. But I have to tell you, Jonathan, in all my years of going racing, I have never had a more fun day than yesterday, getting to see the Americans get back on the board in the form of 10 Strike Racing and Crimson Advocate. It was truly a day of racing I will never forget. I mean, I loved her on paper. I'd gone to see her up at the National Stud, loved the way she looked. But, you know, for as hard as I bet her and giving her out on TV, that meant nothing compared to the joy I felt for our friends at 10 Strike Racing, one of our first 5 partners we ever had on the In the Money Media Network, to get a winner at Royal Ascot, you know, career-making stuff, and a horse who could very well, who knows, if all goes well, but be pointed to a race like the Juvenile Turf Sprint. What were your impressions of the Big Filly?
Well, I got to say, Marshall Graham is very excited if he's listening to this, because he didn't know that he owned part of Crimson Advocate. You said 10 Strike a few times. I know you meant to say Black Type Thoroughbreds, but it was awesome. I woke up yesterday morning, and I text Jake, "Are we going to win?" You know, not we, but just jokingly, "Are we going to win?" And he said, "I think so." And she ran extremely well. And it's a game that we play a tad bit better than them, I think, popping away from the gate. And she kind of showed that. She popped away from there. And it's also fun for people that don't know. Johnny and Jake have a great relationship, like have been on like a multiple vacations, like family vacations together, because of Jake's connection with Angel. And Jake's family's connection with Angel. If you listen to that podcast I did with Angel, Angel's got received the car from Jake's father for that win. And so, you know, they've always been so close. And so Jake and Johnny are very close. And so to see them embracing each other after the race, it made me very happy, because it was just a family affair. And then obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the room is what the Weavers were going through with George and Cindy, and in the tragic accident that Cindy had last summer, where her walking and talking and even living again was in question for some time. And to see her then be able to watch her husband saddle a Royal Ascot winner, it couldn't have gotten any better yesterday.
We've had so many great stories this week, and of course, Black Type Thoroughbreds. It's funny that that's what happens. The show is Horseplayers Happy Hour, but you're not supposed to have multiple bottles of champagne before you come on the air. It's supposed to be a beer or two. Apologies for that one, Jake and Maddie, who I had the great pleasure of celebrating with last night. But John Velasquez is you mentioned all the stories and the kind of stories we want to be talking about in horse racing. But John Velasquez, to me, in many ways, really the hero of the piece. This was not an easy ride. This was not break like a shot and hold on. This was break almost a half step slow, but he so elegantly got her into stride. I didn't even notice it until I watched the replay. He did such a good job of getting her away from there, despite a less than ideal break. This is one of John Velasquez's many superpowers. I think back to some of the Malathot rides as well, where he can just, subtle little things that, at the break can down a lesser horse. He can find a way to make that work and have the ride still go. And then from there, knowing when to produce that run to get most everybody off the bridle. And then another secret superpower of John Velasquez, that ability to win a photo. That I mean, obviously there's some luck involved in that too. Another, half a jump, not even tenth of a jump, and it's a very different story. But just to be able to pull out every inch when you need, an inch, and it's one of those things in horse racing. If you could buy an inch now and then, you change fortunes, and it was so nice to have that photo go the way of our people. And this is a serious filly.
Yeah, and and the other part about that too is that watching the replay, I think Johnny only used the crop twice, which it says a lot about his experience and his comfort with her. And he, if I'm not mistaken, he went right-handed once and then went left-handed once. And you got to think that he probably caught her off guard when he switched left-handed. It caught her attention again, and that was the difference because she was beat. I mean, the other horse was past her. She just got the good bob there. So Reagan Swinbank said, I promise I'll never, another one of the owners told me on the phone yesterday, I promise you I'll never complain about another photo, but I am going to give him about 25 days to make that not work. He's coming to Saratoga for the first 3 weeks of the meet. I guarantee he'll complain again.
Yeah, I know Reagan, and I love him, but yeah, he might be known to. I'm not sure if I trust him to make good on that promise. Here's another funny thing. I wish we had the tape to watch, but I swear one of those whips, I think it was the left-handed one, he wound up like a European jockey. I swear he went like overhead. It didn't look like a normal John Velasquez motivating tactic, but it was pretty special. And we've had all this win and you're in action, including the race today. But that's a race that I definitely think could have some major Breeders' Cup implications. What did you think? I mean, was there any excuse for American Rascal today? I thought it was a good trip, and he just wasn't able to see it out. I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, Craig Bernick actually said it when I had him on JK Plus One. Not to do 2 JK Plus One plugs. We'll see how many I can do on the show. He as a big believer in Curlin, someone who has a financial interest in Curlin, they one thing Curlin hasn't done great is find those high level grade 1 grass types.
Yep.
You want to win a Derby, you want to win a 1.25 mile race, you want to win a Met Mile, you want to win a Breeders' Cup Sprint, you want to win a dirt race, a grade 1. But he hasn't really found a top-notch grade 1 grass horse. And so I don't know. I mean, I fell for it. The figure was extremely fast on dirt. And I think that most people thought that with the pedigree, at least on the bottom side, and this horse would be able to transfer it over. And I didn't really see an excuse. Broke a step slow and just kind of was just not there when called upon.
Yeah, that's a good description. And it's so weird about Curlin because being by Smart Strike, such a major turf influence, you'd think it would be able to go through, especially on that cross. But,
I think that he's such a rugged – and I told you I was going to see how many times I can do this. On my JK Plus One where I had Steve Asmussen, he talked about – this is obviously going to be the theme of this one.
Yes.
He talked about how gritty Curlin was and how alpha Curlin was. And I think that's what made Curlin so good was his ability to lay it down in a hard run dirt race. There's nothing about Curlin that was like finesse. And I think of grass racing, I think of finesse.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I rewatched his Preakness today on the pregame show on Sky, and I did note, like, there was something about his stride late in the Preakness running down Street Sense that, like, it almost looked turfy, but, geez, based on the body of work, I'm starting to think that might be a thing. And, hey, how about the winner on Betfair drifted out to, like, nearly 500 to 1, 150 to 1 with the bookies, and on In the Money Plus, Stephen Bonnet gave that horse a strong shout out. I didn't listen because I was all team American Rascal, but that is some sick picking and not the only double figure runner Stephen Bonnet put up today. Nobody in the world is tipping Ascot better than Stephen Bonnet.
Yeah, I've been reading those. I will say this too, Pete. A wager that I have started kind of following a little bit is that they have over there is this pick six that they have, where it's a show pick six. It paid for $1. It paid $1,244 today. Like, and look, yes, in their language, it's a place pick six. In our language, it's a show pick six. But you know, I really do think, and I'm gonna bug Tony Alavato because I have a little bit of an in there at Naira. I'm gonna bug Tony Alavato about this because I think that this is a great churn wager. Yep. It's a great intro to the game wager. It's a great let new players see the ball go through the hoop wager. It's a great pay attention wager. It's a great comeback tomorrow wager. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think it's something that we should look at doing here in the U.S.
Well, and I love it. You know, we've talked about this before. What about doing it with some sort of winner's bonus? You know, that then maybe you can try to have your cake and eat it too. Definitely something we want to talk about with our wagering partners. Let's reset a little bit. Maybe this is a silly time to reset with me about to get here, but this is Horseplayer Happy Hour. This is a show like so many of the shows that we do, where we just talk about whatever racing topics we're feeling inclined to attack, but it's also an interconnected series of contests and one of the best deals in horse playing as far as I'm concerned, because we've got $20,000 added to the pot and you only have to play 1 week. This isn't some tour that's meant to be a tax on the player who can't, you know, hang in there for the whole year and compete every week. You can play 1 week and be able to get into what we call our playoffs here. This is week 2 of 16. And then we have a playoff situation, and we have 2 Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seats, one for the overall tour winner and one for the winner of those playoffs. And then there's also what you might call the traditional way to qualify for the Breeders' Cup. This is a regular feeder where the top 10% of players advance. JK, I'll let you roll through those standings Craig's putting up on screen.
What's he? I'm looking at it. I can't see it. I'm not zoomed in enough.
Yeah, zoom in. Can you make it full screen and see what you can do?
Okay, here we go. We got Dylan Parker in first, Robert Courtney second, Ryan Henderson third, Ray DiCarlo in fourth, Kerry Frangos. I'm guessing that's Kerry. Could be Kari. Jason Leiter, Daniel Edwards, Michael. I can't read it all, but I wasn't going to pronounce it right anyways. There we go. And Michael Robinson, Christopher Olson so far in the top 9 after just one week.
So yeah, and you know you'll continue to be able to accrue points every week. Top scores count. Overall tour winner gets a BCBC seat.
PTF, real quick. I got to ask you, are you going to get on the elevator? One thing I do not like about Europe is the size of the elevators. It doesn't make any sense to me why they have to be so small. Oh, hey, buddy. The elevators are too small. PTF.
Yes, I am going to try it. We'll see. I may lose you during it. Well, it looks like prom night around here. We've got a horse race coming up, JK. Why don't you tell the people who you like?
You know, I think this race is going to be really fast, and I like whoever I think is going to get a trip closing. And I struggle to figure that out. I'm going to go with the 3 Thrill of It. I think Big Engine is interesting, but I don't like the price from the inside. I think that horse makes a lot of sense, but kind of jumped up and ran a fast race last time. The previous races before that weren't very quick. But when you look at this race, you got to think that Unique Unions, Foolish Ghost, Dafuski Island are all going to hook up. I know that a lot of you that watch Naira are going to say that's not true. That's not going to happen. They don't ever hook up. But Foolish Ghost has one way of going. Unique Unions is fast, drawn inside of Foolish Ghost. What's he going to do? Take back? It just might not work out great. And Dafuski Island, who I think is the best horse in this race, the fastest horse in the race, and who I would kind of look at to be the speed of the speed. In a multi-race wager, there's no way I wouldn't have Dafuski Island because I do believe in the speed of the speed. But for the sake of this contest where people are playing, and we'll have Craig pop up the leaderboard and just real quickly to see who the top people are using. But I would use the 3. I would use the 3 in here, and we'll see. Terry Smith seems that they didn't get all their entries in. That's a bummer. Paul McClellan has the 4 here, which is Unique Unions. Seth Wilkie, the Silky Wilkie, has the 6, as well as Kevin Jones, who has the 6. So they're looking to tie up a little bit. Robert Weir, Bob Weir, and Jeff Van Dree have the 3. So that's who I thought was interesting in here from a trip standpoint. But like I said, I have no issue with the 6.
All right, I like the idea, JK, and of course, we encourage folks to play along as we do our thing here. Yeah, I never mind that idea of the speed, and then also trying to figure out the best closer in a spot like this. It's a sort of a smart way of hedging when it comes to your multi-race bets. Some very familiar names on there. Good to see Bob Weir. Not that Bob Weir. He's playing at Citi Field tonight or something. This is Bob Weir, who's a member of the Bayer Speed Figure team, and of course married to Kim Weir. We talked about early partners of In the Money Media before. Nobody earlier than the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, one of the 2 beneficiaries of these Horseplayer Happy Hour games, along with the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. That's the other amazing thing about this. It's $20 a week to play, and the entirety of the VIG goes to Thoroughbred Aftercare. So really, for so many reasons, one of the best deals going. We always encourage people, if you're just stumbling upon us or if you're a regular, go ahead and tell your horse racing friends about it. Yeah, I get it. In theory, it worsens your chances if other people are playing. But JK, I know you're a big believer in this game that we vote with our dollars. So explain what that means to someone who might be uninitiated.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who like to complain. I've only had 1 glass of wine, so you're not going to get the rowdy version of me. There's a lot of people who like to complain on the internet, but they don't really do anything except from complain from their mother's basement. There is opportunities when organizations take chances and try to do things to better the game that you want to support the creativity. It might not be perfect in your dream of what exactly it needs to look like, but I think sometimes if you can play along with them, then it encourages them to do other things that people are suggesting. Hey, let's try lower takeout now, and let's try this. But there's a lot of people that just want things to change today and tomorrow, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, very tricky. Craig, if you're there, Craig, let's go for the call with this one. Give ourselves a break. I can jump on the other feed.
Defusky Island sent right out for the early lead. Unique Unions came away racing in second. Big Engine is down at the rail. Then Foolish Ghost on the outside, followed by Thrill of It. And the trailer is Silly Key in 6th. Defusky Island challenged here on the outside by Foolish Ghost. And the 2 of them are right together going into the far turn. Unique Union sits off of them in 3rd. The quarter went in 22 and 3/5 seconds. Thrill of It next in 4th. Big Engine is down at the rail, about 7 or 8 lengths from the lead. And farther back is Silly Key. Defusky Island, the favorite on the inside, and Foolish Ghost, the long shot on the outside. They are heads apart with Unique Unions racing in 3rd. They're at the top of the stretch now, and it is Defusky Island who has the lead over Foolish Ghost. 1/2 mile in 45 seconds. Unique Unions is on the outside, and in 3rd, it is Defusky Island who is clear by 4. Then Foolish Ghost, Unique Unions, Big Engine down at the rail. Defusky Island continues to roll here at Belmont. Defusky Island with another convincing win, won by almost 5. Big Engine up for 2nd. Unique Unions was 3rd.
As suggested, the speed of the speed there, JK. Not a lot for contest purposes. That's the kind of runner where if you are, in the back and you're shooting, you say, no harm done. And if you're in the front, you're probably not too fussed about it either. Maybe some people jockey for position and that'll mean something later, but less than better result.
I have not played a lot of $2 win place contests any longer. I've played a lot, obviously, in my life, but it's such a myth that horses like this don't matter. The problem is that if you pick a horse that's even money, you have to be right. Mm-hmm. You're surely allowed to do it, but if you do it, you have to be right. Now I know that seems a little bit tricky, but if you want to do it, you have to be right. Now that's one theory I wanted to talk about. The second theory I wanted to talk about is the speed of the speed. Why do I think that theory works? And I think one of the reasons is there's two ways to look at it. One is these riders read the form, the trainers read the form, the owners read the form, and the paddock, the words in the paddock today for this race, the words, there's a lot of speed in here, were said multiple times by multiple people. And I think sometimes when that happens, a lot of the guys and gals in the room are cautious, and sometimes we'll try not to get hooked in that speed duel. And I think what happens in those situations is that the speed of the speed actually ends up getting a nice trip and wins. The other thing is that when there is a lot of speed in the race, and that means that there's a lot less horses that can beat the horse that is better than all of them at that game. There's only one or two horses. The one or the three were the only horses that could potentially close into that situation. And if they find themselves too close, they get sucked along with the fast pace. So then they're tired when it's time to make that closing kick. Or if they get in any trouble, then the speed of the speed horse wins, especially in turf sprints. I never leave off the best speed horse. I don't care how much speed is in the race.
Yeah, and they often win. It's kind of amazing how often they win. You really turned around my turf sprint handicapping. I was somebody who I think would be too clever by half and trying to always bet those closers. And by always including the best overall form and figure horse, as you've suggested, and by always including the speed of the speed, I've gotten a lot better at those races. It's like, it's so funny. They can look complex and they can actually be subtly easy.
Speaking of that, turf sprints, Pete, one of my favorite turf sprinters, a horse that I've leaned on a couple of times this year and have been burned, but I still think I was right both times. I had no idea, and I don't know the story, but I'm sure you've had to tell the story. Why is Big Invasion there? What was the story of running him back so quick? What happened there?
So funny you mentioned that, JK, because I spent a good half an hour today speaking with Dean Reeves, Big Invasion's owner, and you didn't know this before we came on air. And this was always the plan. Early in the year, I wonder if I'm supposed to say this. I'm going to say this. Early in the year, Dean Reeves had a conversation with Christophe Clement where he said, and I don't know how Christophe might have been 100% on board with this plan from minute one, but the way it was explained to me is Dean Reeves said to Christophe Clement, I'm going to be at Royal Ascot. Big Invasion's going to be at Royal Ascot. Do you want to be at Royal Ascot? and so I think it was the plan all along. Like Christophe, I think, said, look, we got to run in the Jaipur. It's a domestic grade one. He fits great in it, and we can run back after. I think there was a world in which they might have run in the King's Stand, the other big sprint race on Tuesday, but there were actually some logistical issues in getting the horse over where that wasn't going to be physically possible. So the Diamond Jubilee on Saturday became the one and only option that he could run in. But, a guy like Christophe, knowing for months that this was on the cards, you got to figure that factored into the way this horse was trained. And I have to say, Jonathan, I love Big Invasion as much as you. You and I both suggested him as far back as his 3-year-old year as a horse that could win a race like the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And he gets in trouble. Like, he's just one of these horses, like tight turns around a bend, like doesn't necessarily suit him. This is a horse who wants daylight and he wants to pounce. He never gets out finished. He sometimes just can't get there in time. Well, to me, that sounds like a horse who could do really well in a straightaway turf sprint, exactly like Royal Ascot. Now, Highfield Princess coming back in 5 days in the race was probably, I did not ask this, but I can't imagine that was music to the owner's ears, or Christophe's ears for that matter. But I mean, I think he goes with a big chance. I'm betting him on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I've long said I thought that I love Caravel. I used to think she had some limitations. I've now changed my mind about that. I don't think she has many limitations. I think those are definitely the two best turf sprinters in the country, and I think they're both really damn good. And I think that they can both win the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint given the right circumstance. And so we'll see what happens. I could see him running well in there.
could be your exacta right there. So, JK, I didn't prep you for this, but one of the things I want to do on these shows is, as you saw last week, we brought in the pre-tapes of people talking about great Breeders' Cup betting memories. You know, in this 40th anniversary season, we're going to see so much celebration, as there should be, of owners, horses, jockeys, trainers, moments. But I want to make sure horse players get our due. Maybe we can, for each other, you know, we'll spend 5 minutes on one of yours, 5 minutes on one of mine, and incorporate that into the sort of this master show that we're going to do. You up for that?
Yeah, I got a lot. I got the Bobby's Kitten one, which I've told, which is fun.
You've done that one. If you have another, maybe.
Oh yeah, I got more. I got the Bobby's Kitten one. I think is good. I've got the 16,000 on Newspaper of Record is interesting. The 40,000 on Monomoy Girl is fun.
Yeah, BCBC, isn't it the first? Isn't it the COVID year BCBC talking about your dad?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, that one was tough. That was tough. The phone call I didn't get to make. That was tough.
Do you want to do it, or is it too emotional? We don't need to see a grown man cry.
Of course. No, I don't. No, of course. What
you want me to go first? You want me to go first while you think about that one a little bit?
No, I'll do the phone call. I got it.
Okay. So let me bring it in case we use it as like a preset thing.
Okay.
For our next segment about Breeders' Cup betting memories, we bring in a man you hear from all the time on these airwaves. You've seen him on Fox Sports. You've listened to him on JK+1. You probably are a devotee of Cart Talk if you know what's good for you. I'm speaking of noted contest player, interviewer, man about town, gadfly, Jonathan Kinchin. What's up, JK?
Yeah, you got me thinking. I got to get my Cart Talk roster in order here.
I'm producing you whether you want it or not.
Yeah, I'm good. PTF. Yeah, it's the summer's around the corner. The Breeders' Cup is around the corner. I actually was talking to my in-laws who have never been to Santa Anita, and this is on brand for the conversation we're gonna have about one of my Breeders' Cup memories. But I remember the day I took my father to Santa Anita for the first time and let him walk on the apron and see the mountains as someone who's loved racing his whole life, and the way that how special of a moment that was for me to show him that. And I'm going to get to do it with Joe Vanina's father, who's a lifetime racetracker who's never been to Santa Anita. So I get to then break someone else's walk on the apron and look at the San Gabriel Mountains maiden, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic stuff. Though I think when it comes to your Breeders' Cup betting memories, and I know there's a bunch of them, but the one that stands out the most for me, and the story does involve Big Ralph Kinchin, came in 2020 at Keeneland. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, so you gotta rewind a little bit to I think 2004. If I messed that up, my dad and I, Lone Star. My dad and I started. My dad has always gone to the racetrack. He grew up in Detroit. He went to Hazel Park, which is which I actually saw Smarty Jones lose to Birdstone at Hazel Park. I was with my father. He took us there, and my dad he wasn't a good horse player. He liked going. He liked talking like he knew what he was talking about with the guys, and he liked playing 10-cent supers. But when Lone Star was built, we used to start going a lot more, and we would go to the racetrack, and that's my introduction to the track. And so when they had a Breeders' Cup there, we were going to go. And I remember that I bought the tickets. I did it in 2004. I must have been 22, 21, 22. I bought the tickets on eBay. Does eBay still exist? I don't even know. No offense if you have stock in eBay. Okay, it does. So I bought the tickets on eBay for like $28, and we were sitting we were sitting like basically at the half mile pole, like on the backside. So you can't really see much. They just kind of run by you. I had no idea that Ghost Zapper was running. I didn't know anything. I was just a guy who was looking through the forum trying to figure something out. I didn't know what I was seeing at the time. And so that was the first Breeders' Cup that I ever went to. And it was with my father. And it was the last Breeders' Cup I ever went to with my father, but he was always in tune to what was going on. And when the contest scene started, I used to always like want to like, hey, Daddy, I'm alive to these 4 horses for 40,000, 20,000, 16,000, whatever it was. I would call him to tell him I was alive because he would watch the races and be excited and have that thrill and, you know, and sense of pride as well. And so at that COVID Breeders' Cup, my father had passed away maybe 3 weeks prior to that.
Jeez, I forgot it was that close. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was right around the corner. And so we you know, we're there, and I'm at the track, and I'm building the bankroll, and here it comes, and I got to where I think the numbers run together. I believe I got to where I had 80,000 because I bet 40,000 on Monomoy Girl, so I had 80,000, and I was going to go all in on doubles with who was the horse? Pete? Was it Enable?
No, it would have been Tarnawa.
With Tarnawa, I did that the year before. Tarnawa into 4 horses in the classic. And so, you know, I'm excited, and I'm calling friends and whatever, and I grab my phone and I go to call my dad, and I actually hit it, and I hit the thing, and I was standing on that. You know, those in the second floor, there's those kind of little like Romeo Juliet patios that look over the paddock from the sports bar at Keeneland. And I went and stepped out there, and I went to call my dad, and I hit it, and I realized he's not going to answer this one. And I hung up, and then I just started bawling basically because you know, I just was so used to being able to call my father and to share that moment with him and to let him know that this is about to happen and it's really cool and you should watch it and, you know, whatever. And you know, and I hit the bet for like I think I hit it to turn my bankroll into it's 160 or whatever. And then my friend Marshall Graham snapped me and beat me, and he had a better score than I did. But that was my first second in the Breeders' Cup betting challenge. And I was alive to Nick's go in Essential Quality the year after, and for good luck I called him again when I was alive, just to keep that rolling. So and then funny enough, this year when I talked to Drew, he didn't want to tell me what he was going to do because he knew that I knew some other people in the contest. I don't think he wanted to put me in a position where I knew what he was going to do, but he wouldn't say it to me. Yeah. But he just called me, and he just wanted to. He was just saying thank you for you know, introducing him to this level that he's at now with us and our friends and the people that he got to meet. And I said, man, just call somebody you love before the race, you know, because I wasn't able to do it. So make sure you do that. So that was a pretty special moment.
That's incredible. My story's no good compared to that. We're going to save it for another episode, Jonathan. But that's a great one. Whoever we end up putting next to you on the ultimate podcast that we're going to do has quite an act to follow with that one, tying in memories from 3 different BCBs.
I can do one a lot stupider than that. You know, if you want me.
Maybe if we don't quite get to 40, we'll bring you in off the bench to do another one. But that's fantastic for now.
I mean, I can tell you about the time I bet $3,000 a show on a horse that ran up the track, and then I had no money left to bet Bobby's Kitten. I can tell you that one too.
I think that's in the last Breeders' Cup special we did. Hopefully this one will meet with the same amount of success. How we doing on that leaderboard? Maybe we should do a quick look at what's going on in this contest here, Craig. If you're there, now that I'm in a good position and not on the phone, oh my goodness, start making those white Russians, people, because South Wilkie is in the lead. The significance to it, if you can finish first and second in this contest, is you get automatic entry into the playoffs, that 80-person tournament at the end. It's filled out by top finishers on the tour, but that's how, even if you play one week, you're eligible.
Let's talk from the perspective of Silky Wilkie, right?
Yep.
What I just did, just intuitively, because playing in all these so much, I started looking like who do I not want to win? Who's a problem for me? And it looks like 5'4", and 6 are a problem for him. And basically, if someone else wins, it's not necessarily a huge issue. So let me see what are the prices of those horses. So actually, the 4 is not devastating. The 5
is as good as first. Don't forget. Well, that's not exactly true. For tour points, first is better than second, but second is nearly as good as first. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah. So 4, 5, 6, and then he has the 8. So he's protected by another horse is taking some money. Let's look at the race a little bit. Let's see. We're going a mile and 16th on the turf. The 4 root cause for Chad. I did this the other day. I'm gonna let's call Chad and see what he says.
You did this on you did this on the Horseplayers.
I didn't call him, but I'm gonna call him right now and see what he says. Let's just get him
on the air just in case.
I will. Especially if he comes in hot.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you want me to filibuster while you get him?
CB, you're on. Don't say anything crazy. I just have a quick question for you because the world can hear you a little bit. Do we like root cause a little bit here?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That Churchill's a dirty track.
Okay. I'm ready.
30's people up at 30's horses up.
I'm ready. All right, we love it. Bye-bye. He doesn't like the turf course at Churchill.
No, I mean, obviously they're working on it. Everything's going to be fine, but so that gives an excuse that makes the form come into a little bit more focus, doesn't it?
We're going to go root cause here then. So Silky Wilkie's got the 8 here, huh?
Yeah, and it's been amazing. I mean, we've known him for years, and he's made this arrival onto the tournament scene like a house on fire. Did you given him any advice behind the scenes? I mean, legendary racetrack character Seth Wilkie. No,
not really. I mean, I the Silkman's got it figured out. He's posting videos, and he's a wild character. That guy.
We'll have to get him on one of these shows. If he wins this week, we'll bring him on. How about that?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's in a good spot. He's got another race to get out of this situation with. If the 8 doesn't win or the 8 doesn't run as well as he would like, the 4 is not going to hurt him. And one of the things too is if he can run second with the 8, even if the 4 wins, I think that's a situation that could help him quite a bit.
Interesting to see, Matt Miller right now in his 3-way tie for 9th. I think this is a pretty interesting way that Matt played it. So he's got the exact same runners through the first 6 races and then 3 different runners in the last. What do you think about that general approach?
I mean, I love it. I love it so much. It's I mean, honestly, like that's how I play these situations, I almost let the cat out of the bag. Like in the big contest that happens, I can't remember where it's at. Anyways, that might be it. I will play the same horse. I would play the same horse and theoretically in that situation is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Until I needed to do something different. Just because it's a better when you start zigging and zagging, it's inevitable that you're going to end up in the wrong place. Split
ticket syndrome.
So if you just ride out your one opinion, your number one opinion, if you let that be the guide all the way through, then you're gonna only zig, but the zigs that you hit are gonna all be on one. Because if you zag and you hit it on another one, it doesn't necessarily help you. It's why I've long said, and I'm talking about this entirely too much to be fair for my sanity, but the first contest on the West Coast that I played in where I had 2 entries that should have been at the final table, I would have won. I would have won if both of those entries would have made it to the final table. I would have won because I had got myself to that position where I could zig and zag, and I was protected, and I zigged, and if I would have zagged, I would have whatever, but I didn't have 2. I only had 1, so I picked the zig. So
right.
It'll never happen again.
It's interesting that he split in a live contest, the idea of splitting late makes all the sense in the world. Here, I don't know if it's just random that Matt just didn't. Often the last race is the most open. So maybe he was like, you know what? That's the most. It could be if the most open race was the first race, he'd have 3 different there and all the same. Don't you think?
I'm going to give Matt credit that he played what the defense gave him here. He didn't do it where, it's the last race, I'm going to play the same into the last race, because there's zero science behind it. It mentally, maybe you want to have 3 options in the last, but that's not how Matt thinks. I think that this is just what the defense gave him, is what he played. And if he did play it, I just
don't. He's watching, Matt. Pop it up in the comments and let us know what the logic was.
Because I will do this. I do this often. What he's done. Or I did it often, but I would just wherever it happens, it happens. If I split horses in the first, but I made a rule for myself. If I played 2 or more entries, I had to use the same horse on more than half of my entries, or I wasn't going to play. More than half of the races. Excuse me.
It's very much to me like horizontal betting strategy, where you have, but a more on steroids version of that, where you either want to have a lot of singles and then a few races where you spread. It doesn't just have to be in one. I mean, you could potentially do that in half, anchor 8 race contest, anchor with 4 of the same picks, like you were saying, JK, and then in the other 4, you take shots. And the more you do it, the more you're still risking getting split ticket syndrome. But I do think sometimes if the races are, if there's a race where I just don't like the favorites and I like 3 10-to-1 shots, I'm going to probably figure that's going to be enough, especially in a contest like this where you just have to be in the top 10%. Really, I'll split there for sure, because you really only need the 1 10-to-1 shot to advance potentially.
Yeah, no, I mean it's you got to try to maximize your opportunities, and to me that's the best way to go about it, right? Like you stick to what you know and what you like and what you love, and then you zig when you need to zig, but there's times to zig, and this is a great race example. Like if you use the 4 and the 8 on 2 different entries, it's just that you're gonna get nowhere with that.
Right.
Or if you're going to use the 4 and the, let me look at it. If you want to use, here's another good point I want to make. If you're going to use the 4 on one and the 1 on the other, no. Stop. Then just use the 1 and let the 4 beat you, or just use the 4. But using the 4 on one and the 1 on other, you're not accomplishing anything.
No, I think I've never thought about it this way, but when you're doing that using multiples, the idea of you doing it to play multiple long shots makes a lot more sense than a favorite and a long shot, and certainly more sense than 2 favorites. And this is something I've never even heard talked about before.
No, but it's not even, I mean, it doesn't need the it just, if you're between the favorite or the second choice and a 10-to-1 shot, then just play the 10-to-1 shot. And if you can't stomach playing the 10-to-1 shot, then it's a bad 10-to-1 shot. You shouldn't be playing it anyways, because you're playing it because you're hoping, not because you think it's going to run well. If you think it's going to run well, you'll have no problem letting the favorite beat you, and you'll just use the 10-to-1 shot on both.
I think that makes sense. All right, let's run down. We got down on a Seth Wilkie tangent. Kevin Jones, Edward Enborg. I wrote something about him in the DRF many, many years ago, a Navy man, as I recall. Chris Couples, who does a great job for us at In the Money and in these comments. Terry Smith, Paul McClelland, Matt Sikor, Patrick O'Connor, and then we have the triple-headed monster of Matt Miller. Do me a favor, Craig. Go down to the end. I'm curious to see if we get a sense of how many entries played. We had that near record week last week, JK. I'm guessing that's not bad at all. 150 coming back with us this week. And I got this game up late. We probably could have gotten more if I'd done a better job promoting it. We'll take 150 for week 2. Next week, I'll still be traveling. It's kind of crazy, JK. I think I might be here until Saratoga. I might even miss the day I fly back. Might be Saratoga opening day. But wow. the other Thursdays, I hope
I'm gonna call immigration. That seems like a long time, bud.
No, it's within reason. And I don't know my Italian. I don't know how far into Brexit we are. My Italian passport might mean I'm okay over here. So, Chad is the favorite here.
He has the favorite, at 6-5. The horse that said he said didn't seem to like Churchill's turf course, which some of them like some of them don't like some of them.
Yeah. What if this were a live contest? This is pick and pray. Obviously, the difference pick and pray. All the picks go in before the first race. A live contest, you get to change. If you were sort of in the hunt but not in the lead, is there a horse outside of the top two choices that you'd be gravitating towards?
I'm gonna be more helpful here, and I answer this question honestly. Who I would pick here would depend where I was on the leaderboard and who I liked in the last.
Right. Great point.
Because it's not this when you play these contests, it's game theory. It's not the same as trying to play a pick four or exactas or whatever. So like it would matter who I liked in the last, which I glanced at the last, so I don't want to lie and just start saying, oh, I love this horse in the last. So it would matter if I was Silky Wilkie and I was in a live contest right now and he's, sitting there on top, top two spots win, whatever, then one of the things that I might do here, there's two ways to look at it. I could play the favorite who I like here at 3-2 and keep advancing my position and then play defense in the last. Or I can start playing defense now and let the four, possibly catch me a little bit, but then I have the last race to try to kind of, take the lead back. It really is. And I always tell people when they ask me, contest advice, I always say, play what you like.
Yeah. Well,
because you can never go wrong mentally if you just play what you like. You obviously have to follow the math rules a little bit. You can't play horses that can't get you there. But then you play horses that you like that can get you there. Just always defer to play what you like with a mixture of playing what you need to kind of play based on the game theory.
I think it's great. I think it's a very good description from you of how you approach that. What was your really quick before we'll throw to the call of this? What did you think of racing last weekend in the States? Any standout performances for you?
I'm trying to remember. Good Night Olive, I thought was good coming back. I mean, look, she's one of those horses that, in my opinion, based on her style and kind of people, now people just ride her. Everyone else in the race rides her. Play against her at your own peril. I think she just kind of does what she needs to do to win. And I think the circumstances of the last couple of races weren't ideal for her. So I thought she was impressive, and I'm trying to remember who else even ran.
Well, think about that while this race goes. We were going to
Canterbury was fun last night, Pete. I know you were asleep. We were on late on Fox, and Florent Giroux won 3 races, and he was also on JK+1 this week.
It's the reverse of Sports Illustrated, the JK+1 blessing. Here we go.
And they're off. Stephanie's Charm, along with Trying My Heart Out, and Fast Kimmy is right there as they make the move around the bend and head for the backstretch. Fast Kimmy has come away with the lead. Trying My Heart Out down at the rail. And now Quarrel moves up on the outside to grab third. Life, Love, and Laughter is in fourth. Stephanie's Charm had a steady there down on the inside in fifth. Also steadying there was Root Cause. On the outside is Tap It Up, and the trailer is Big Brass Bed in eighth. The quarter went in 24 3/5 seconds. Trying My Heart Out is the leader here by a half length, with Fast Kimmy running in second, Quarrel in the clear on the outside in third, Stephanie's Charm in behind the front runners and in fourth. Alongside is Life, Love, and Laughter in fifth position, but just 3 lengths from the lead. Then comes Tap It Up, Root Cause, Big Brass Bed is still at the back. The half mile went in 48 4. Trying My Heart Out leads here by a length, with Fast Kimmy in pursuit in second. Quarrel now makes a move on the outside from third. Stephanie's Charm is down at the rail, and she's followed by Life, Love, and Laughter and Tap It Up. The trailers are Root Cause and Big Brass Bed. 3/4 in 112 4. Trying My Heart Out Fast Kimmy,
86
Quarrel on the
wide.
outside,
Doesn't
looking
matter.
to come through. Down on the inside is Stephanie's Charm. Gaining ground out in the middle of the course is Root Cause. Then comes Quarrel. It is Trying My Heart Out. Life, Love, and Laughter has made a move now into second. Root Cause continues to gain on the outside. Trying My Heart Out. Trying to pull off an upset here. Trying My Heart Out. Trying My Heart Out at 42-1.
As the English say, a bit of a boil over there at Belmont. That was impressive. I mean, this horse I would not have thought would have been able to hold on halfway through the race, and caught the Root Cause move early, and I mean, went very wide, but still had the chance in the stretch. And this horse just kept finding. And this one will definitely shake things up on this leaderboard. Maybe we can actually go through, Craig, soon and take a look at who's going to benefit from this wild horse. Seth Wilkie very excited in the comments. I don't know.
Well, is he? Does he not know that someone might have that horse? I'm not sure.
We're going to find out. It could be the White Russians talking. That's always a danger when you're dealing with the Silkster. But wild stuff there.
Number 2, Trying My Heart Out was first. Number 5, Life, Love, and Laughter second.
Anything on paper, JK, like, you play that game, you go back and you look and you see if anybody, if that horse made sense on any level. You seeing anything to recommend?
There's one person has the horse. So there's that. Who ran second? The 8?
It come 2, 5, 4, 8.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what he's fired up about. Maybe he said that earlier. Okay. Anything about the 2 that gets me going there? Let's see.
Was it a pace angle?
No,
not at all.
Jose Cameo, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he off the claim has been he had that giant run, but I mean,
but he's 12% on the year, so he's not. There's nothing
really that, and it wasn't a drop in class. I mean, slightly, according to Timeform race ratings, a slight drop, but that doesn't really explain it. This was a surprising result.
No, I think he got loose. The pace wasn't particularly fast. I'd like to watch the trip of the 5 again. I wasn't paying attention to the 5. I was looking at the other horses, but the 4 and the 8 were far back. The 5, I think that one of those 3 horses behind the 2 wins if the 2 doesn't go 112 6 furlongs.
Fascinating. Yeah. Oh, so Wilkie says his other entry had the 2.
Oh, did it? Oh, he was the one that had the 2? I just saw the 2. I didn't look who it was.
Chris Couple says that 8 people had that winner. So we'll see.
Oh, I looked at the wrong horse. You're right. I looked at the last. That was my fault. Okay,
definitely a little bit of craziness going on there. And in a minute we'll have that leaderboard. We'll put it up. And I almost wish we could hang around for the last race, but I have to do an Ask It preview for tomorrow. So we're no extended show today. We're going to keep this one. Loose and the usual 1 hour for this. And we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Some funny comments. Rob Capalbo, who mentioned earlier that he has some Breeders' Cup stories. Yeah, let's see. I want more Breeders' Cup stories. I especially want ones from a few years back, Rob. If you're my age, so you might have some from a few years back. Kim Weir says, hey, 20 days until Saratoga. Don't forget that. That's
you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll get everyone hyped up. I saw something today. I drove by today. The TVs are up and on in the backyard.
They turn them on this early?
I think they just make sure they're all working.
I got you. They were testing it or something.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Lots of Americans over here, JK. Saw your man Bobby Flay out there today. Our buddy who we've done plenty of work with in the Money Media Network, Carter Carnegie over there. Saw Gatewood Bell yesterday. It's fun. We gotta get you here. But I have a suspicion, Jonathan, and you got to decide if this is a feature or a bug. I feel like when Jovanina comes to Ask It, she may never want to miss. You may be here 5 days forever because it is total intersection of food, fashion, and horse racing.
When we got on the plane to go to Italy for the wedding, the plan was we were going. In fact, Jake Ballas, was not going to go. And I assaulted him verbally. I was like, dude, you have to go. Like, you can't have a horse at Royal Ascot and not go.
I had the same conversation with him. So
you have to go. And I even told and Reagan, who just had too many things going on family-wise, he couldn't go. I gave him the same speech. Dude, what's the point of owning horses if you get one that qualifies for Royal Ascot and you don't go? You got to go. You have to go.
No offense,
and
Reagan.
I'm not the only person who I'm sure told Jake that. But so Jake decides to go. I get on the plane to go to Italy. I'm going to Royal Ascot. But after being gone for 2 weeks, hotel, 7 bags, going from Rome to Amalfi, from Amalfi to Rome to London to New York to Austin to New York. I was like, hey, let's maybe punt on this year. And she said, yeah, we're punting on this year. So that's the only reason we didn't go.
So next year, you think?
Next year.
All right, let's read the current top 10. Jeff Van Dree, familiar name. Kevin Nunez, Seth Wilkie's other entry. Chris Walsh, Seth Wilkie's first entry. Wait, Wilkie had it on both?
He had 3 entries.
He had 3 entries, so he had it on both his other 2. Okay.
That's good. That's well played by Seth. He's got 2 shots. He's got the 3 and the 4 that can get them all.
That's backing up. And, you need to be in the top 15 to advance to play Saturday. That's something else I don't want to underestimate. But let me finish this first. Mike Paraski, Brad Anderson, Jonathan Cummings, Kevin Jones, Edward Enborg, Seth Wilkie, Paul McClelland, Matt Secor. Give me a little scroll there, Craig. Chris Couples, nice to see, and Terry Smith. So right now they're the ones in position. Put aside the tour, put aside the 2 Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seats. This is just a great way for $20 with the VIG going to charity that you can win your way into the qualifier at the weekend where, you get your $179 entry to a BCBC qualifier. And, you were joking around about your these mythical win place contests, but I'll tell you what, for when you're starting for $20 with going to a great cause, and then you get action for that same fixed fee, you get action like across 3 cards potentially on a Saturday. It's just a good way to get you get a ton of action for very little money in a lot of instances, especially when you're winning in for $20 and the money goes to a great cause. And then throw in the fact that it's this whole interconnected series. We have our community here on Horseplayer Happy Hour. I sound like a broken record, and I apologize. I've had a lot of champagne and Pimm's today, but it's something that I just can't emphasize enough how cool of a thing I think it is. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't want to hurt myself patting ourselves on the back. I don't want to throw on my shoulder patting ourselves on the back. But
no, it's all good. It's all good. We deserve it.
Just about wrapped here, buddy.
We deserve it. We deserve it. It was a good idea.
Exactly. Production meeting in the end of the show. How you feeling about filling in for the late week show this week? Do you have a sense?
I'm good. The only there's only one topic that I'm not really sure what to do about.
Which one is that?
We'll do it after.
Okay. I'll tell you right now who it is. Japan. You got Japan. You concerned about?
Yeah. Japan. Yeah.
Well, Klaus Ebner's wonderful with that, or Alex Henry's great. Yeah. Well, I'll give you people because they're good. They're good partners. Ran into some JRA people here as well. And always a pleasure talking about their racing. All right. My 9 o'clock my 10 o'clock is calling, JK. So I think we're going to leave this here. We'll send out that final leaderboard. We appreciate you coming on. Thanks for everybody sticking with my early technical difficulties. Thank you, producer Craig, for being on the spot in so many ways. Thanks to our partners at the Breeders' Cup, especially Justin and Haley. Thanks most of all to all of you for listening and participating on horseplayers.com. We'll be here the next several months. Please continue to join and support Horseplayer Happy Hour. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel. May you win all your photos.